Hey, good evening, Midwest Survivor. Time for dinner chat. First off, I want to say thank you to the 40 subscribers that have subscribed to the channel thus far. We are 10 away from 50. And once we hit that 50, I will release a Pinterest with instructions on how to do the giveaway. The first 50 subscribers are going to get free 120-minute session with me, Midwest Survivor, as your coach, and we can talk about anything from things that you've struggled with as a child, narcissistic relationships, leadership abuse, church abuse, dysfunction within your family, dysfunction in the workplace, how to rebuild your life after divorce, how to rebuild your life after natural disaster, how to rebuild your confidence, how to get stronger, how to get healthier, and more importantly, when we do the giveaway, if you want to get another free 40 minutes for a total of 1 hour, all you have to do, and this will go to the 50 subscribers, all you have to do is recommend me to 5 of your friends with their names and email addresses and have them reach out to me and confirm with me, and then you will get a free 40 minutes extra of counseling and coaching with me, Midwest Survivor. So be thinking of 5 people that could use a life and leadership coach in their life that could help them go from just surviving but to thriving. So our dinner chat topic tonight is when family loyalty becomes emotional blackmail. So you're going to hear phrases like, that's your family, you only get one mother, you only get one father, that's your brother, that's your sister, blood is thicker than water, after everything we've done for you. You know, manipulative phrases like, if you love this family, you wouldn't do this. You know, have you ever tried something like that when you ever had issues where you tried to establish a boundary, set some parameters, set some guidelines, and maybe you weren't abandoning one person, and maybe you weren't trying to hurt anybody, but possibly and honestly, and I said this myself, I can't keep doing this. And whenever I said those words, that it's over, I can't keep doing this, I'm broken, I'm shattered, my parents wouldn't listen to me. My wife's family completely ignored me. My wife just was like, well, I'll go to counseling. And I begged her 4.5 years to go to counseling. And we're now separated and going through divorce. But it was too little too late. My pastor was like, well, you're not really broken. You're not really shattered. Well, you can't judge somebody because you don't live in their skin. You can't know what a person is feeling and what a person has experienced until you live within the world that they live in. And suddenly your love for your family becomes questioned. And I know my love for my family is definitely questioned. But it comes a point when you have to choose your sanity and choose your peace of mind and choose your happiness over the desires of your family and over the desires of the people that you surrounded yourself with, because other people's perceptions of you do not define you and do not make you who you are. Only you make you who you are. Only you determine your worth and your value. So tonight we're going to talk about something that is incredibly difficult to recognize and incredibly difficult to break away from. But believe me, and speaking from personal experience, once you break away from it, you will know freedom, you will know peace, you will start to feel confident and strong. You will start to rebuild your life, and you're not going to get the old life you had back, but you're going to be going on a journey through a door into something new. So I want you to grab a sandwich, grab your dinner, grab your coffee, grab your tea, pull up a chair, and let's have a chat about it. So family loyalty is a wonderful thing. I want to start because loyalty in a family sometimes of itself is not unhealthy. Families should support one another as long as it's healthy and encouraging and builds each other up. Families should support each other through difficult seasons, turmoil, family transition, job transition, financial transition, natural disasters, whatever the case may be. Families should forgive mistakes. We are human. Always remember, the person making the mistake is human, but also the person offering forgiveness is human and can just as easily make the same mistake. So make sure that forgiveness goes both ways. Families should sacrifice for one another sometimes. Now, one person shouldn't leech off a family for the rest of their lives. One person shouldn't be a financial burden forever. We have to work, we have to provide, we have to do our things, but there are times when family members struggle, and it should be perfectly acceptable to sacrifice within reason for the sake of that family member to keep their head above water. There is tremendous value in knowing that these people have my back. Now, the problem isn't loyalty. The problem begins when loyalty becomes a requirement to tolerate behaviors that would be unacceptable from anybody else. When someone says, we're family, you have to do this, you have to accept this, you have to do this because I tell you to, you're listening to me and you're doing what I'm telling you to do because you're part of this family. We are no longer talking about healthy family loyalty. We are talking about obligation being used to manipulate and leverage and guilt trip and shame a person into giving in to another person's desires, whims, wants, or agendas. Emotional blackmail uses your feelings against you. Emotional blackmail doesn't always sound threatening. Sometimes it sounds heartbreaking. If you leave, you will destroy this family. If you leave, your mother will be devastated. If you leave, your grandpa, your dad will be ashamed of you. Think about what you're doing to him and how he feels. Your grandpa will be ashamed of you. Your grandma will be ashamed of you. It'll hurt them. Everybody's going to know what you did. Everybody's going to hate you. Everybody's not going to like you. And the message underneath it all is, if you make a decision that is right for you, that is going to help you to grow, stretch you, encourage you, help you become a strong, healthy person, you will be responsible for everybody's emotional action. And that is a huge weight and burden that is upon your shoulders. You should care about how your decisions affect people. But caring about someone's feelings doesn't mean they get complete control over your choices, your life, and what you decide and how you do it. After everything we've done to you, now this is a common phrase that families use to guilt, shame, manipulate, and get things the way they want them. This can be very powerful between parents and adult children. Parents sacrifice tremendously for their children, but providing for your child isn't supposed to be a lifelong debt. Food, housing, clothing, education, transportation, love, support, those things shouldn't be coming with invoices and payment and receipts due. Healthy generosity says, I helped you because I love you. Manipulation says, I helped you, so now you owe me obedience, loyalty, commitment, and to do whatever I tell you to do. Gratitude is healthy. Permanent indebtedness is not. It is sick, it is twisted, it is manipulated, and it is a mutated cancer within the emotional and relational dynamic of a family that should be cut out and cast into acid. But we're family. Sometimes family becomes the explanation for behavior that nobody else would accept anywhere else. It's a currency that is received only in one country, the country of that family. Imagine telling someone, my friend constantly insults me. People might say, well, maybe you need some distance. But say, my family member constantly insults me. Suddenly, well, that's your family. Your dad just deals with it, and your mom is the way she is because of blank. Well, why should family receive a lower standard of behavior and than everybody else? Why should a family be able to accept emotional, financial, mental, or even physical abuse from family just because it's family? If anything, shouldn't the people that we are, excuse me, shouldn't the people that are closest to us, our blood, that bear our name, work harder to treat us with kindness, with dignity, with love and tenderness? Being family should mean I care about how my behavior affects you, not you have to tolerate my behavior because we're related. Guilt can be a powerful control system. Guilt is powerful because good people usually don't want to hurt others. That's exactly why guilt can be so effective. You say, I can't come this weekend, and instead of, okay, well, maybe the next time, you hear, fine, I guess we're just not important in your life anymore. You established a boundary. You've changed. You made an independent decision. You don't care about this family. Eventually, you learn something. Every time I choose myself, somebody makes me feel guilty. And eventually, you may stop making healthy choices based on what you believe is healthy. You start making choices based on how do I prevent them from getting upset. And that's where guilt begins controlling your life. Loyalty tests are dangerous. Some dysfunctional families consistently test loyalty. If you love me, you'll choose my side. If you're really family, you won't talk to them. If you're loyal to us, you'll cut that person off. If you support me, you'll agree with me and back me. But loyalty doesn't require abandoning independent thought, morals, values, and personal ethics. You can love somebody and disagree with them. You can love two family members who are angry with each other. You can refuse to participate in the gossip. You can refuse to become a messenger between two adults. You can refuse to allow them to bring their drama, their baggage, their garbage into your home. You can say, I love you, but I'm not getting involved in this anymore. That's not betrayal. Sometimes that's wisdom, maturity, and just good sense. Family secrets can become loyalty tests. This gets even deeper when family says we don't talk about things outside of the family. We don't talk about family business with strangers. Privacy is completely understandable, respectful, and a clear, concise boundary. Every disagreement doesn't need to become a social media announcement. But there's a difference between privacy and enforced, guilt-ridden silence. If somebody is being harmed and they are told by family, don't tell anybody, don't embarrass us, think about what people will say, well, if you tell the wrong person, you'll get taken away from us. Then protecting the family's image can be more important than addressing what really happened. Sometimes speaking honestly about an unhealthy pattern gets labeled as betrayal because silence was part of the dysfunctional family system. But acknowledging that dysfunction doesn't automatically mean you're disloyal. It just means that you can't bear any more hurt and you can't handle any more unhealthy behaviors. And there's nothing wrong with that, because confronting it and coming out and admitting it makes you a stronger, healthier person. Boundaries can feel like betrayal to people accustomed to access. Maybe your family could call you anytime, borrow money anytime, come over anytime, ask personal questions anytime, criticize your choices anytime, and you tolerated it because they're family. Then you suddenly establish boundaries. Suddenly, you're the villain, you're the bad guy. You're shutting us out. You're running away. That's just what you do. Well, maybe you're not. Maybe you're simply changing the terms of how they access you. Healthy boundaries do not necessarily say you are no longer part of my life. Sometimes they simply say, if you're going to be part of my life, This is how I expect you to treat each other. And more importantly, this is how I expect you to treat me and the people around me. Forgiveness does not mean unlimited access. This is especially important in families. You can forgive them, still recognize that trust has been damaged. Forgiveness does not automatically mean here's the same access you had before. Trust and forgiveness aren't identical. Forgiveness may be something you choose personally. Trust is usually rebuilt through behavior. If someone repeatedly violates your trust and then demands, "You're supposed to forgive me," you can answer, "Forgiveness does not eliminate accountability. And forgiveness does not mean that things go back to the way they were." You can love somebody without agreeing with them. Some families confuse agreement with love. If you disagree, you're disrespectful. If you say no, then you're mean and you're cruel and you don't respect me. If you choose a different lifestyle, you're rejecting us. If you establish independence, you've forgotten where you came from and who you are. But healthy families make room for individuality. Your adult healthy children may not make every decision that you would make or even like. However, your parents may have values that you don't completely share. Your siblings may live differently than you. Love does not require cloning each other, fitting a mold, or falling into someone's shadow or shoes. Healthy families can say, "I wouldn't make that decision, but I still love you." Beware of being forced to choose sides. Family conflicts often create situations much like this. Well, whose side are you on? Well, maybe you're Switzerland or Sweden. Maybe you're neutral. Well, maybe you're on the side of the truth. Well, let me tell you something. There's 3 sides to every story. Right side, wrong side, and God's side. And God's side is always the right side. Maybe both people did something wrong. Maybe you don't know enough of the story about what happened. Maybe you just don't want to participate because it's foolish and dramatic and it doesn't concern you. You don't have to inherit someone else's enemies just to prove your loyalty. And you don't have to destroy one relationship to preserve another. Money and possessions are an emotional leverage. Family emotional blackmail isn't always verbal. Sometimes it's financial and contractual. I helped you financially, so you should do what I say. I gave you that money, so you need to do this. I helped you when nobody else would, so do this. If you don't do what we want, don't expect any help from us. Financial assistance can create complicated relationships. And if help comes with conditions, those conditions should be clear and concise and not subject to change or adjustment. They should be concrete. But secretly turning generosity into future debts and control can create resentment, dependency, and guilt. A gift should not quietly become a contract for obedience. Breaking generational patterns can look like disloyalty. Sometimes the healthiest person in a dysfunctional family looks like the rebellious one. Why? Because they're changing the rules. They're saying, we're going to talk about problems. They're saying, we're going to apologize. They're saying, we are going to respect boundaries and guidelines and the rules. They are saying, we're not going to use children as messengers, leverage, or pawns. They're saying, we're not going to weaponize money, gifts, or assistance. They're also saying, we're not going to demand loyalty through manipulation, guilt, gaslighting, or shame. And people who benefited from the old system may resist. That's why cycle breaking can feel lonely. That's why breaking the wheel that has been crushing you is lonely. You're not only changing your behavior and your mindset and rewiring your brain, but you are challenging what everyone else has had to learn to consider normal. So ask yourself, is this love or fear? When making a family decision, ask yourself, why am I saying yes? Or why am I saying no? Because I genuinely want to, because I love them, because it aligns with my values. These are very healthy reasons. Or because I'm afraid they'll get angry, because I'm afraid they'll stop speaking to me, because I'm afraid they'll tell everyone I'm selfish, because I'll be punished emotionally, because I'm terrified of disappointing them. That's worth examining. A relationship built primarily around fear of someone else's reaction is not functioning healthy or normally or correctly. You don't have to become cold. Setting boundaries doesn't require becoming heartless. You can still help, you can still love, you can still show up, you can still forgive, you can still have compassion. But compassion needs to have boundaries too. Otherwise, compassion can turn into enabling. You can say, I love you, but I'm not doing that. I understand that you're disappointed, but my decision hasn't changed. I'm willing to discuss this, but I'm not going to be insulted, shamed, or guilted. I care about this family, but I won't participate in this behavior. You know, I have experienced all of these, and it's very, very hard whenever you realize that your family is unhealthy. Growing up, I grew up among giants, or at least what I thought were giants. And I always felt safe and loved and protected. But as I grew older, I began to see things that didn't align with my perception of reality. And I realized that my perception of reality within my family was flawed, and I began to ask questions. And sometimes the questions were answered, and sometimes I was put off or guilted or manipulated because what I was saying didn't line up with the family dynamic. And now I'm rebuilding my life all alone with my girlfriend in a completely different state with a completely different job. And I hope someday that my family can understand, love me, and we can reconcile to a point. But I also know this, that it will never be the same as what it was. It's going to be a different dynamic, and there's going to be boundaries, and there already is boundaries established, and they will have to be respected. Just as I will respect them, they will need to respect me. So, should being family give someone greater access to your life or greater responsibility to respect your boundaries? And that is tonight's big question. What happened when you finally said no? You know, should family give and get greater access to your life, or should they get greater responsibility to respect you, respect your boundaries, and respect your feelings and perceptions? I want you to share your thoughts in the comments. This question is going to be posted to the YouTube community, to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, and I want you to share your comments, share your thoughts in the comments, because please keep the discussion respectful. Family relationships are complicated. They can be painful. They can be very hurtful. And different situations in different families require different boundaries, different methods. So I want you to please put your comments honorably, decently in the comments, because remember, there may be somebody out there that is struggling with the very thing that you're struggling with, and your comment and your question could give them the hope that they need to finally break the cycle. So Midwest Survivor, how am I leaving you today? As always, get healthy, be healthy, stay healthy, get strong, be strong, stay strong. Remember, it's more than just surviving. It's learning how to thrive, and I want to thrive with you. So as always, have a good evening. I'll see you tomorrow morning for Breakfast Bits. Take care.